There was a video game bigger than Counter-Strike, bigger than Call of Duty, bigger than PUBG, and I'd bet real money that most of you watching this have never touched it, never seen it streamed, and maybe never even heard its name. But it's pulling in 110 million active players every single month, and I need you to actually sit with that number for a second. 110 million monthly active players. That's not registered accounts. That's not some inflated lifetime install figure. That is real people opening this game, playing it every single month. Now, let's put that in context, because that number doesn't seem anything until you hold it up next to something familiar. Counter-Strike 2, one of the most respected, most talked about competitive shooters ever made. A game that has been the backbone of PC esports for over 2 decades, and it sits roughly at 20 million active monthly users. Now, Call of Duty, the entire franchise combined peaked at around 20 to 50 million monthly players. PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, a game that has literally invented the battle royale genre and made winner winner chicken dinner part of a cultural vocabulary, and it doesn't even come close. And this game, this thing you've probably never even heard of, absolutely laps all of them. We're talking about 5 times the monthly player of Counter-Strike. 5 times. But fine, player counts are one thing. Maybe it's just a casual mobile game where people open it for 10 minutes and forget about it, right? Well, let's talk about esports, because this is where it gets genuinely embarrassing for the Western gaming conversation to have completely ignored this. The M7 World Championship Grand Finals in 2026 drew 5.68 million peak concurrent viewers. That's a mobile game tournament pulling numbers that most PC esports titles would kill for. Most games with a decade-long esports ecosystem have never even seen a single event hit that ceiling. This game ranked as one of the most watched, most followed, and most tuned into esports title in the entire world in 2025. There have been over 1,078 official tournaments run for this game. The cumulative prize pool across its competitive history has grossed $30 million. At the 2025 Esports World Cup in Riyadh, an event with 25 of the biggest esports titles on the planet competing for attention, this game alone accounted for over 12% of all viewership hours across the entire event. It generated around 50 million hours watched at a single tournament. So now you're probably wondering, what the hell is this game?
Mobile Legends Bang Bang. What the fuck is this?
Wait, hold on. What is Mobile Legends? What is that?
Fuck is Mobile Legends Bang Bang?
Legends Bang Bang. What the fuck is that? See, I know this game. I know all of these games except what the hell is this?
And how come barely anyone in the West knows it exists? Well, let's talk about it. This game is called Mobile Legends Bang Bang. It was developed by a Chinese studio called Moonton. It launched in November 2026 and it's a MOBA, a multiplayer online battle arena, same genre as League of Legends and Dota 2. That classic 5v5 format where 2 teams destroy each other's spaces. The difference is that it was built from the ground up for mobile, which sounds like a downgrade until you realize that it exactly was the whole point. Moonton looked at what was back then a brutally underserved market. Hundreds of millions of people in Southeast Asia who had smartphones but no computers. And they just built the thing that those people needed. Fast matches, maybe 10 to 20 minutes. Intuitive controls designed around a touchscreen. Low enough data requirements that it could run on basic mobile plan. It wasn't trying to compete with League of Legends. It was trying to be League of Legends for everyone who never had a PC to begin with. And it worked in a way that nobody in the Western gaming press seemed to notice or care about. By 2017, it was already the most downloaded free mobile game on iOS in Indonesia, the Philippines, and Malaysia. The game now has 1.5 lifetime installations across 139 countries and has generated over $1.8 billion in total revenue. The Philippines and Indonesia alone account for the majority of the active player base, and those 2 countries produce the highest spending numbers too. This game didn't sneak up on Southeast Asia. It became the default gaming culture for an entire generation. And look, I'm gonna be honest with you here because I think it matters for this conversation. I grew up in the Philippines. I've lived most of my life here, duh. And I wanna tell you something. Mobile Legends isn't just a popular game here. It's woven into the culture in a way that's hard to explain for someone who didn't live it. This game didn't just find an audience in Southeast Asia, it built one. It turned millions of people who never considered themselves gamer into people who know hero matchups, understand the meta, and lose sleep over ranked games. It's the game you were playing on your phone during a family gathering with your cousins. It's the reason your group chat had a dedicated MLBB thread that was more active than anything else in there. It's the game that made people who never owned a gaming PC in their life feel like they just have the right to call themselves competitive gamers as much as everyone else. Because they did. And this game gave them the place to prove it. That's not a coincidence. This game is engineered to be addictive in a way that's almost impressive when you step back and look at it. The match length is short enough that it never feels like a huge commitment, but just long enough to feel like you actually accomplished something. The hero roster is enormous, over 100 characters now, each with completely different playstyles, which means there's always something new to try and master. And then there's the MMR system, which is almost unfairly good at making you care. Because it doesn't just tell you how much you use that one specific character, it tells you where you rank for a specific hero in your city, your country, and across the entire global player base. You could be the best Lancelot in your city, the top-ranked Kagura in the whole Philippines, the #1 in the world on a hero you've put thousands of games into. That's not just a number, that's a bragging rights with a specific address on them. Anyways, before I continue, you should probably hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel. I always try my best to make the best videos I can. I spend hours, heck even days making these videos, and doing those would help pay my effort. It's not mandatory, but it helps. Anyways, so the real question is, why did this game remain completely invisible to most of Western gaming audiences, despite being objectively one of the largest games on Earth? And the real answer is actually pretty simple, and kind of boring. The gaming media ecosystem, like YouTube, Twitch, and the big publications, the podcast everyone listens to, it's almost entirely built around PC and console culture. The content creators who shape what people know and care about in gaming predominantly play games on setup that costs thousands of dollars, and games they play are the ones designed for those setups. Mobile gaming, especially mobile games that dominate in markets outside of North America and Europe, is treated like a footnote, or worse, it's dismissed outright as something lesser. And the real sad part is, the viewership data from Mobile Legends Esports doesn't even fully show up on the Western trackers, because most of it happens on Facebook Gaming, which is the dominant streaming platform across Southeast Asia and basically doesn't exist in cultural awareness of anyone watching Twitch in US or Europe. So you get the situation where a game is pulling millions of concurrent viewers for its world championship, and the number just doesn't land on any of the platforms that Western analysts are watching. It becomes completely invisible, not because it isn't happening, but because nobody with a Western audience is looking in the other direction. And Moonton knows this, which is why they've been pushing hard into Western markets lately. In early 2025, they transferred US publishing to an American company called Skystone Games in March 2025. They participated in the Esports World Cup. They are actively trying to get on the radar of an audience that has been completely ignoring them. And based on the numbers, they have a hell of a case to make. Now, none of this means that Mobile Legends is perfect. It's not. The game has very real problems. Hero balance is a constant conversation. Mobile Legends drops a new hero. That hero is so broken that it gets banned every single game. They nerf it a couple patches later and suddenly nobody's touching it ever again. It's a cycle. And the bugs. There are always bugs, not game-breaking ones necessarily, but just enough to remind you that something is always slightly on fire. It's a free-to-play mobile game at its core. And all the stuff that comes with that territory comes with this one too. The game has also seen its active numbers fluctuate on a third-party trackers, even as Moonton's official figures hold at 110 million monthly active users. So depending on how you count and which platform you're measuring, the exact number varies. But accounting for all of that, even if you cut the number in half, it's still one of the most played games on the planet. What I find genuinely interesting about this whole situation is what it reveals about how fragmented the global gaming conversation actually is. There's an entire universe of gaming culture happening in Southeast Asia, in parts of the Middle East, and Latin America that the Western internet is completely blind to. Mobile Legends is probably the clearest example of that blind spot, because the scale of it is so undeniable that ignoring it feels less like an oversight and more like a choice. A game with 1.5 billion lifetime installations across 139 countries, with a world championship that broke 6 separate esports records, with an esports scene that has ranked behind only League of Legends in global viewership. That game deserves to be part of the conversation years ago. But, well, it is. Whether the Western internet decides to notice it or not. Anyway, so yeah, that's all for today's video, and if you haven't already, then hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.